It's October 17th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with Hamas's latest attack on Israel. Hamas claims that it fired a barrage of missiles at Tel Aviv and Jerusalem on the 10th day of the war. Humanitarian aid is stuck at the Gaza-Egypt border, with the Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt still shut down. North Korea reiterated at the UN that the regime will not abandon its nuclear weapons, saying Pyongyang continues to face threats from the United States. The Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition, Seoul ADEX 2023, kicks off on its largest ever scale. South Korea's homegrown KF-21 Porame fighter jet made its public debut ahead of the event. On Monday, Hamas fired rockets against Israeli cities of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is on his second Israel trip, had to take shelter during his meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister. 신세벽 starts us off.
The cities of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv were under fire on Monday. Rocket alert sirens went off and blasts were heard across the cities. Palestinian militant group Hamas said it fired a barrage of missiles at the cities in response to what it called Israel's targeting of civilians. According to the Washington Post, at least 1,400 people have been killed and over 4,000 injured in Israel, while nearly 2,800 people have been killed and nearly 10,000 wounded in Gaza since a surprise attack by Hamas on Israel sparked new fighting in the region on October 7th. Also on Monday, people gathered at the Rafah crossing on the Gaza-Egypt border, following reports that it would be reopened during a brief ceasefire. The crossing has been shut for security reasons since Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007. If the border were to open, Gazans with dual citizenship could leave the territory, and humanitarian aid, now waiting on the Egyptian side, could enter. However, both Israel and Hamas have denied reports of reopening, exacerbating an already desperate humanitarian crisis. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli war cabinet members in Tel Aviv on Monday. There, Blinken reaffirmed firm support from the U.S. for Israel. It is the U.S. official's second visit to Israel in under a week. A State Department spokesperson said the meeting was briefly interrupted by air raid sirens, forcing Blinken and Netanyahu to take shelter in a bunker for 5 minutes. In a speech to Israel's parliament on Monday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Iran and the Lebanese Hezbollah terror group to stay out of the conflict in the north.
I have a message to Iran and Hezbollah. Don't test us on the northern border.
Iran-backed Hezbollah has ramped up missile and rocket attacks in northern Israel's border area with Lebanon in the past days. 신세벽, Arirang News.
North Korea has reaffirmed its long-held usual stance at the UN that Pyongyang will not let go of its nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, former U.S. Ambassador to South Korea Harry Harris called for strengthened nuclear deterrence for South Korea amid threats from the north. Lee Seung-ja has more.
During the first committee of the United Nations General Assembly meeting on Monday, North Korea's Secretary for North Korea's permanent mission to the United Nations, Kim In-chul, said Pyongyang will not give up its nuclear weapons as it faces continuous threats from the United States. Kim said that the U.S. continues to deploy nuclear assets to the Korean peninsula, which are disguised with claims of being defensive in nature. He also added that the U.S. continues to conduct nuclear weapons tests despite its condemnation of North Korea's nuclear ambitions and has been accelerating a nuclear arms race. Both Seoul and Tokyo condemned Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions, calling for the North to give up its nuclear weapons and return to dialogue. Meanwhile, former U.S. Ambassador to South Korea Harry Harris, during a virtual seminar, called for the U.S. to keep strengthening its extended deterrence commitment to South Korea, as he stressed that North Korea's evolving military threats are far greater than before. Harris said that the North has been doubling down on its nuclear and missile programs under an aggressive nuclear policy stipulated in its constitution. However, the former ambassador said it would be a mistake to redeploy U.S. tactical nuclear arms to the Korean peninsula. Harris, who served from 2018 to 2021, also raised concerns about technological cooperation between Pyongyang and Moscow. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Russian ships linked to military transport networks have reportedly been traveling to and from North Korea since August. Citing satellite images, the Washington Post on Monday said 2 ships with no previous record of moving between Russia and North Korea had begun making trips in August when Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un met for talks. The satellite imagery analyzed by London-based Royal United Services Institute showed the 2 ships making at least 5 round trips beginning mid-August through Saturday. Washington earlier this week said that Russia has moved around 1,000 containers, which could potentially hold hundreds of thousands of weapons that could be used in the war in Ukraine. The third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation kicks off today in Beijing, as China seeks to expand its leadership on the global stage amid its rivalry with the U.S. During the 2-day event, President Xi will deliver an opening speech, as the event marks the 10th anniversary of its key One Belt, One Road initiative, which aims to bolster economic cooperation along the land and sea routes from China to Central Asia and Europe. Some 140 countries are expected to participate, with eyes of a possible summit between President Xi and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. That will be their second face-to-face this year, with their solidarity against the U.S. likely to take center stage of their discussions, which could also entail a message on the Israel-Hamas conflict. One of Northeast Asia's largest aerospace and defense exhibitions, Seoul ADEX 2023 kicks off in the coming hour. Now, hopes are high that this year's event will be a stepping stone for South Korea to be seen as a leading global arms exporter. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung has a preview.
South Korea's first homegrown supersonic fighter jet, the KF-21, soars above Seoul Air Base. It's being revealed to the public for the very first time at the biennial Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition, taking place from Tuesday to Sunday. This year's exhibition is the largest so far, with some 550 entities from 35 countries taking part. Spectators can get a rare up-close look at the country's latest military equipment, such as the F-35A stealth fighter jets and the F-A-50 light attack aircraft. Also on display is the country's main battle tank, the K-2 Black Panther, which shot to fame when Poland struck a deal to purchase 1,000 of them last year. And to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Seoul-Washington alliance this year, the U.S. has boosted its display of military power.
Yes, the B-52 will conduct 1 to 2 flybys of Seoul Airfield during Seoul ADEX.
U.S. strategic bomber the B-52 is making an appearance as it is making a rare landing at a South Korean airbase this week. Also, one of the key U.S. assets on display is the F-22 Raptor, known as the world's most powerful fighter jet. Seoul ADEX has been growing in size with every edition, with Korea looking to become one of the world's top 4 defense export countries. It's also striving to become one of the world's top air shows.
We'll do our best to make Seoul ADEX, which will be held again in 2025, one of the world's top 3 air shows.
Taking this as an opportunity to promote the country's advanced military and space technologies overseas, South Korea has invited senior-level military officials and delegations from 53 countries. The exhibition was first launched in 1996 to promote domestic defense firms and boost global technology exchanges. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
So South Korea is aiming to become one of the world's top 4 defense export countries by 2027. How realizable is this ambitious goal? Let's discuss more with Professor Kim Jin-mo this morning. Welcome to the program.
My pleasure to be with you today.
Professor Kim, I'd like to start with South Korea's homegrown KF-21 Borame fighter jet. Now, it made its public debut yesterday. What makes this fighter jet so exceptional?
Among defense products, fighter jets are one of the most sophisticated items, and only 6 to 7 countries can make their own fighter jets with their own demands and for export markets. In that sense, it itself is a milestone. And secondly, fighter jets work as a platform for further development of weapons. For example, so-called multi-man-unmanned teaming technology can be developed from this platform, which means pilots in this plane can control multiple unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, to multiply their performance. Thirdly, this is a culmination of state-of-the-art technologies into one body. So it's a great milestone for the Korean aerospace industry.
Indeed, and it's not just KF-21 Porame. Over 100 other weapon systems will be on display starting today for the next 6 days. Now, how far, Professor Kim, would you say South Korea's military weapons development has come so far?
Korea's defense industry has almost 50-year history since mid-1970s. With the increasing threat from the north, it has been the answer to that challenges. And as a consequence, today, K9 Howitzer, for example, takes almost 50% of the world export market. K2 main battle tanks ordered more than 900 units by Poland last year. And FA-50 fighter jets and T-50 trainer series are used in many countries. And recent orders include 48 fighters ordered by Poland, 18 by Malaysia, and orders are expected to come in other countries. And also, this plane can be a bridge to usher KF-21 Porame into international market in the next decade.
Right, and also the key U.S. military assets like the strategic B-52 bomber and the F-22 Raptor stealth jet are also making their presence known in Seoul's skies. How significant would you say it is?
In the 21st century war environment, almost no country can wage a war alone. That means having alliance is quite important and pivotal. And in that sense, U.S.-Korea alliance has played a great role, pivotal role in maintaining regional as well as global peace. And this dispatch of aircraft symbolizes this alliance. Also, it evidences that U.S. policy of extended deterrence, because in the sense that in times of war, U.S. military assets, including this aircraft types, should be used to project the extended deterrence policy, and that's the importance of this deployment.
Right, the event does come at a timely manner considering the 70th anniversary of Seoul-Washington alliance. Let's also talk about South Korea's goal of reaching $20 billion in defense exports this year. We only are 2 months away from the end of 2023. How achievable is this target? I mean, is there enough demand?
Forecasting the export volume, especially defense products, it's not that easy because the nature of the defense deals takes time and it's volatile against the international environment. Yet, we still have promising outlook with several reasons. First, a lot of countries are faced with instability in regional and global issues. And that means they need to upgrade their arsenals. And second, to meet that demand, they should find where to source their weapons. And not many countries are maintaining large-scale production of arms bases like Korea. So that's the promising factor. And thirdly, Korean weapon systems are cost-effective. And that means buyer countries can enjoy so-called defense economics. With the same budget, they can buy more. And also, the quality of Korean products are quite superb these days. So with this backgrounds, the export goals can be attained optimistically, I think.
Sure, the goal is indeed challenging, but indeed also achievable in the near future. Then, before I let you go, Professor Kim, why is it important that this event, Seoul ADEX, continues to take place?
ADEX 2023 is a venue where a different group of audience meet, share information, exchange ideas, participate in marketing activities, and also we have public relations roles in this event. Since the first ADEX venue in 1996, in this sense, this event has contributed not only to defense industry promotion, but also to public relations role to Korean people. In this context, if this event continues, of course, it will grow up to one of the major 3 or 2 exhibitions in the world, like Paris Air Show and Dubai Air Show, and that gives us more incentives to promote this event.
Definitely. All right, Professor Kim Juma, thank you so much for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed it.
The Chinese city Hangzhou, where the Asian Games recently came to a close, means more than just sports for Korea. It's where Korean independence fighters found a new beginning by relocating the provisional government after facing tough times in Shanghai. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin went there and filed this report.
Hangzhou, the host of the largest ever Asian Games, holds a special place in Korea's heart beyond the medals and records. Right next to the famous Sihu, or West Lake in Hangzhou, you'll find the Memorial Hall of the Korean Provisional Government. So originally, there were 3 Korean Provisional Government buildings here in the city of Hangzhou, but this is the only one that's left. So as you can see, this building, it was originally used by government officials until 1934, but now it's used as an exhibition hall. Open to the public since 2007, the Memorial Hall has 2 main sections: a recreation of the rooms used by the government and an exhibition hall that tells the story of the Korean Provisional Government's 27-year struggle for independence. The Korean Provisional Government was set up in 1919 in Shanghai after the March 1st independence movement. However, it had to relocate after independence activist Yoon Dong-il set off a bomb in Shanghai's Hongkou Park in 1932 that killed several high-ranking Japanese military officials. Fleeing from Japan's invasion of Shanghai, the Korean Provisional Government found refuge at an inn in Hangzhou in 1932. But due to budget constraints, they later moved their headquarters here to Hubian Village a year later. This 2-story building served as both a home and a workplace for government officials. Records show that they stayed in Hubian until November 1934 before moving to their 3rd and final headquarters in Hangzhou, Wufuli. The memorial's director says the 3.5 years in Hangzhou were a crucial turning point for the Korean Provisional Government. It was during this period when Kim Gu, one of the founding members of the government, secretly met with then-Chinese leader Jiang Jieshi, where Jiang pledged to fund Korean independence fighters. Kim also established the Korean National Party, which united various scattered groups of independence activists. So, for those who want to step back in time and take a look at this history, the hall is open every day from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., free of charge. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News, Hangzhou.
Good morning, I'm Matthew Ashley, and we now turn over to stories from around the world. We begin in the Belgian capital, Brussels, where 2 Swedish citizens have been killed in a shooting by a gunman still at large. Now, the incident occurred on Monday evening ahead of a football match between Belgium and Sweden. The Euro 2024 qualifying match was abandoned at half-time over security concerns, with the score at 1-1. The shooting is being considered an act of terrorism, and terror alert levels have been raised to their highest. On social media, a man claiming to be from Islamic State took responsibility for the fatal attack and claimed to have killed 3 people. The attack comes amid heightened security concerns in Europe linked to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Now, former Finnish president and Nobel Peace Prize winner Martti Ahtisaari died on Monday, aged 86. He had retired from public life in September last year after being diagnosed with advanced Alzheimer's. Ahtisaari was president of Finland for one term from 1994 to 2000. During that time, he oversaw the national referendum to join the European Union, and in 2008 he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in resolving international conflicts. Ahtisaari was born in 1937 in the former Finnish town of Viipuri, which is now the Russian town of Vyborg. He was a primary school teacher before going into politics in 1965 and spent more than 2 decades working for the Finnish Foreign Ministry in Tanzania, Zambia and at the United Nations.
This achievement has only been possible.
Now in sports news, cricket, flag, football, squash, lacrosse, baseball and softball, these are all set to become Olympic sports. Voting by the International Olympic Committee on Monday resulted in 88 of 90 members in favor of adding the 5 sports to the 2028 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The decision at the meeting in Mumbai, India, means that flag football will be seen at the international event for the very first time. The sport is a variant of American football, where a flag or flag belt from a ball carrier must be removed to end a down instead of using tackles. Cricket, meanwhile, makes a return for the first time since 1900. And finally, dog owners in the Peruvian capital Lima dressed their pets up on Sunday to take part in an annual Halloween costume contest. A panel of judges evaluated the 4-legged contestants' costumes on creativity, originality, family involvement, and runway performance. Top prizes this year were awarded for Hollywood-inspired costumes such as Wednesday from the Addams Family and Willy Wonka from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The contest is meant to promote responsible ownership and pet adoption.
Good morning. While the air is getting colder, the days are becoming shorter. Many parts of Korea woke up to the chilliest morning weather of the season so far. Morning temperatures in most parts are 2 to 7 degrees lower than the same time yesterday, with thick fog in inland areas. Craving hot still weather for sure this morning. Then afternoon highs will hike fast, along with plenty of autumn sunshine into the 20s. Take your vitamins and a balanced meal to stay healthy. Many are coming down with a cold around this time. We had a chilly start, but a pleasant afternoon ahead as long as you dress in layers. Highs in most parts will be in the low 20s this afternoon. Rain is in the forecast at the end of the week. Then, that band of rain will bring a short winter vibe to the country this weekend. Well, that's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow for Wednesday's edition at the same time, 9 a.m. Korea time.